There we go. Oh, 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 there we go.
All right. Make sure this is working.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Make sure this is working.
Seems to be about a 10-second delay on my video, but I figured I'll get this started. So yeah.
There we go.
All right. Page here. Make sure this is working.
Seems to be about a 10-second delay on my video, but it's kind of backwards. Got my computer on the other side.
So yeah.
But if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer them as best as I can. This is more so a test. Seems to be about a 10-second delay on my video, but it's kind of backwards. Got my computer on the other side. Basically, what I'm going to go over today, if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer them as best as I can. This is more so a test. Seems to be about a 10-second delay on my video, but it's kind of backwards. Got my computer on the other side. Basically, what I'm going to go over today, if anyone has any questions, I'll try to answer them as best as I can. This is more so a test. Seems to be about a 10-second delay on my video. Building backwards, got my computer on the other side. Basically, what I'm going to go over today, if anyone has any questions, I'm just going to go over the basics. This is more so a seems to be about a 10-second delay on my video. Building backwards, got my computer on the other side. Basically, what I'm going to go over today, if anyone has any questions, I'm just going to go over the basics. This is more so a basically, let's get started. This is, you don't need multiple to put together. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Basically, just going to get started. This is, you don't need matter. Basically, a lot of the newer computers are kind of tool list design. Alright, I'm trying to sort out the audio. Let's see if that works any better. Alright, I'm trying to sort out the audio. Let's see
if that works any better.
Okay, good deal. Audio seems to be working fine. I just can't listen to it on my capture computer. It does some weird audio glitches. Alright, let's get back into it. So, I got the motherboard here. I'm going to take it out of the anti-static bag to get a better view. Won't need that anymore. So basically, there's the motherboard. This is a micro ATX motherboard. Got the I/O ports there. We got 4 USB 3.0s, 2 USB 2.0s, basic video, HDMI display port, DVI, VGA. Audio is basic, and some legacy PS/2 ports. So yeah, nice compact board. We'll just kind of set that right there. The next part that goes in is going to be the processor. We got an Intel Core i5. This is the 7400. What's the speed? 3 gigahertz. So it's a quad core processor. Each core operates at 3 gigahertz. Just go ahead and cut that open. Cut it the right way. Set my keys to the side here. Okay, got a little user manual for the processor. Don't really need that. But basically, there's the processor. I don't know if you can read that, but they etch how the model number and basically how fast the processor is. And we'll just set that aside. I'll show you the heatsink and fan. I'm just going to use the standard heatsink and fan that comes with the processor, basically to save money. This is, you know, it'll do its job. It's not the best heatsink and fan, and I usually like to spend a little money and get something a little bit better. But it'll do. It has thermal paste already applied on the bottom here. So that's kind of nice. Don't have to worry about applying thermal paste or applying too much or too little. I'll set that upside down to the side. We'll put the processor in. These Intel processors are really easy to install. You just have to push down on this latch, pull it back to expose the pins, and take the processor out here. So that's what it looks like. Bottom left corner, we got a little indicator there. That little triangle is going to tell us how to situate it in the, basically to set it down in the socket here. And you just lightly set it down. You don't have to apply any pressure. It just sets there perfectly. We're just going to close this door, and we're going to close this latch and tuck the latch underneath. It requires a little pressure, but not too bad. And processor is basically installed now. When you get a computer, you don't want to throw this part away. If your motherboard is defective, you will need this little plastic thing to send with the motherboard, otherwise they'll deny it, because this kind of protects the pins that are built into the motherboard from getting damaged during transit. So I'll go ahead and throw this in the motherboard box, and we'll throw the manual, driver CD. All the manuals will go in that box for now. This box can go in the garbage. The processor came in, won't need that anymore. We'll install the heatsink and fan. These are really simple to install. They basically just push into place. I'm just trying to find the fan header. And let's get my tools out of the way there, and we don't need those parts right now. What I'll do here is I'll zoom in a bit more so you can see it better. Let me adjust the camera. Not too far. Alright, so over here we have what's called the fan header. This is how our fan gets power. And we're just gonna, there's 4 holes, and they just correspond with these little pins. So go ahead and put that just right there. That should reach the fan header fine. And we're just gonna push these into place. It locks in. And it's recommended to do a crisscross pattern just to kind of apply even pressure we go. And that's on there. And we'll plug the fan in. And there's that. Might have to zip tie that down somehow, maybe. Should be okay though. Alright, next step is installing the RAM, Corsair Vengeance RAM. I like sticking with Corsair as well. I've had good luck with their brand. Almost any RAM is going to be fine now. The speed rating of the RAM doesn't matter so much anymore either. Just make sure the RAM's compatible. This is DDR4 RAM. That's the newest version. Toss that box away as well. And this is what RAM looks like, essentially. This metal here is a heat spreader. It's just more so for looks and helps cool the RAM. RAM does warm up a bit, but not too bad. I'm trying to peel this little plastic protector off the logo. There we go. Alright, and let's see, on the motherboard here, you can see, I don't know if you can see it too well, but it says DIMM A1. Usually the RAM slot that's closest to the processor is your A1 RAM slot. It goes A1, A2, then B1 and B2. When you're just installing a single RAM stick like I'm doing here, this is an 8 GB RAM stick, you'd want to put in the slot that's closest to the processor. That's just the recommended configuration. And this is notched in a particular way. So that only goes in one way. And it looks like I have it the right way. It's too bad you don't see the Vengeance logo once this is installed, but oh well, that's the way she goes. Alright, so basically this is a computer. Your motherboard, RAM, processor, this is enough to run once we hook up the power supply. These solid state drives, I'm just going to set those to the side for now. I'm going to open up the power supply here and we're going to do a test run. So let me grab my knife here and open this up. Throw this plastic away. Go in the box. Don't like that. Here's essentially the bulk of the power supply cables. Take the power supply out. Just gonna set it right there. Got some Velcro straps and zip ties. I'll probably use those. And I'll set the box over. Alright, so here's the power supply. It's a Seasonic 450 watt power supply, modular. Modular just means the cables aren't hardwired to the power supply, so you can just use what cables you need to power your particular computer. I like these designs best because you don't have to deal with all the extra cables and trying to hide them. 120 millimeter fan on the bottom, pretty standard design. These come with 5 years of warranty, so they're pretty good power supplies. I haven't had a Seasonic fail me yet. So that's why I like them. They have really good reviews too. Overall, they're good quality power supplies. That little. All right, so all we need to connect to power is the 24-pin ATX power and the additional CPU power. You just plug this into the motherboard, and the RAM's going to be powered off the motherboard, and this powers the CPU. So we'll just plug that in just like this. Only goes in one way. Alright, there we go. And just plug in one of these cables right here. Oh, help if I plug it in the correct way. There we go. Alright. we got a power supply connected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up shifting everything. Switches over here. Shifting everything over so I can show you. Just go ahead and lift this out of the way. Just gonna slide it down here. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a bit. Alright. So, power supply connected. VGA cable connected here. Ethernet, don't really need, but we'll plug it in. And USB to my keyboard and mouse. Change my... Okay. So flip the power supply switch on. This motherboard doesn't look like it has a green LED to indicate power. That's okay. Let's go ahead. I haven't looked in where the front panel connectors are. Here they are. So what I'm doing is essentially jump starting the power supply. Or the computer, I should say. That should be right. But we're not getting any power. That's fine. Interesting. That should be... yeah, power should go that way. So let's go ahead and try something here. Disconnect power from that. Okay, let's go ahead and plug that in. Alright, well, I jump started the power supply, so power supply seems to be working. That's good. I'll flip the switch there. And that powered off. Let's just try turning it on again. Yep, power supply is coming on fine. So we'll disconnect power for now. Shoot. I hope I don't have a defective board. That wouldn't be fun. Alright, plug the power supply back into power. Let's take a look at the... yeah, that should be plus and minus right there. Turn power supply back on. I wonder if there is supposed to be an LED indicator somewhere on this board, and I'm just not getting one because the board's defective. Yeah, that should definitely start up the computer. Well, shoot. Looks like I got a DOA motherboard, dead on arrival. Bummer. Yeah. I'll look at the manual here just to be sure, but I'm pretty sure I have the right pins. Could try it the other way. Yeah. Oh, hey, there we go. All right. Just kidding. I'm gonna look at the manual anyways, figure out what the right pins are to start this computer. Evidently I'm not looking at the correct pins. Hit F1 to go into the BIOS. ATX power connector, speaker connector, system panel connector, there we go. Ah, okay. That's power LED. There it is, power button. Alright, we're good. Good deal. I'm really surprised there isn't a little green LED on this board. A lot of the motherboards come with a little LED at least to tell you that the board's receiving power, so that's kind of too bad. Not a big deal. Alright, don't know why that's coming up. Oh shoot. But my live stream's okay. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm kind of new to this live streaming thing, so I'm just looking at the status, making sure everything's working fine. But we got our BIOS up on the screen there, so that's good. Everything seems to be working fine. Motherboard temperature's at 25 Celsius, processor at 28 Celsius, that's all fine and dandy. Yeah, so I think it's time to essentially install the system into our tower over here. I don't see any issues with it right now, so just power it down. And we'll disconnect the cables. Alright, disconnect the power supply. Set this to the side over here. Motherboard can go over here just fine. Alright. Alright, so here's the case I chose for this build. It's a Silverstone Cubla series, KL06. The reason why I chose this computer case in particular is because the filters are really easy to take off. A lot of these computers, they might be in dusty situations, especially in a business. So it's really good to have a nice filter and one that's easy to remove so you don't have to tear apart the computer just to clean the thing. Basically just comes out with just a little retention clip there, and then you can dust it off and get to your fans really easily. On top of the computer case right there is where the power supply sits, and this has a filter that's magnetically attached to the top. Take off the side panel here, just a couple thumb screws. I really like these Silverstone cases. They're not the easiest to build in, but they look really nice. They've got a nice powder coat finish to them. The size, the form factor is really nice. It's probably my favorite case to use for a mid-size build, the Micro ATX build. So we'll take that side panel off. Just gonna set that down here. Take the other side off. Set it down here. Essentially all the screws you get with a computer case, some zip ties, SSD tray there. So I don't really know why they include that because this has plenty of 2.5 inch. It can hold 6 2.5 inch drives, so that's your solid state drives or laptop style hard drives. We have our connectors for the front panel here, USB 3.0 connector right there, the fat one. AC or your HD audio connector right there for your mic and line in. We got our fan connectors here, just 3-pin fan connectors, and the front panel, so your reset switch, power LED, and then your solid state drive LED. Over here, what I really like about these cases is they have a lot of space for the cables to go on the back side, what I call the back side of the case. It's kind of nice to tuck the cables behind, where this side you don't really see too much, and this is more of the side you'll see when you actually open up the computer. So let's go ahead. What we're going to do is take this 2.5-inch bay out of here. So we're going to need to install the motherboard, I/O panel first, then the motherboard. Then I'll have to do the power supply, run our cables. Oops, set those screws aside. Kind of off camera here. Move that closer. There we go, that's a little bit better. Okay. Alright, there we go. Push that out. So yeah, this is what's going to hold our solid state drives. I ordered 2 solid state drives, these Samsung 850 EVOs, 250 gigabyte. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set these up in RAID. Trying to remember the RAID configuration. Essentially, they're going to be mirrored, so whatever's stored on one drive is going to be mirrored on the other drive. This is done for redundancy. If there is an issue with one drive and it fails, basically you can boot off the second drive, no problem. These are very good drives though. They have 5-year warranty, really reliable, so I don't anticipate an issue. But this is used for basically hotel checkout system, you know, pretty important deal. You don't want that going down for any reason. So covering bases here, and these are inexpensive enough, not too bad, though they are kind of going up in price now. We're going to set all that aside, and let's see, how do I want to do this? I'll move the cables out of the way. Just basically going to pull them through to the other side of the case. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go ahead. We need to put the I/O panel in, so this is just a little bracket that goes in where your input-output ports are on the motherboard. That just kind of snaps into place on the computer case. So basically just like that. This computer case is a little bit different than a lot of the other mainstream cases. It is essentially it's on the wrong side than your normal computer case. Kind of reminds me of Form Factor BTX, because those are built on the other side. Not a very popular design, but Silverstone's been using this design for a while, and they make this type of case with different fronts on it. This is the more inexpensive front with the plastic front instead of the aluminum front. But overall, the case is still really nice. I/O panel is installed, so that's good. We'll be able to put our motherboard in next. Might have to adjust some motherboard standoffs in order to install this. This is just going to drop in pretty easily here. Got to line up with the I/O panel. Make sure all those grounding clips are not being jammed into a port. Oh, how I hate these cheap I/O panels. Of course, I have one going into the USB port. Oh man, oh, there we go, it's DVI. Might sound awful, but I'm not scraping the motherboard bottom on the case, I can promise you that. Just have to take my word. Yeah, the big issue is these I/O panels. They have these little grounding clips that sit on top of the ports, and a lot of times they'll get caught in the ports. On the DVI over here, it was getting caught right above the connector. Just had to bend that up a bit more. And it looks like I'm going to need an additional standoff. I'm going to need one there. No, good there. I think I just need one additional motherboard standoff and then I should be fine. So I'm going to take the motherboard back out of the computer case and find the screws that came with this case, which is right here. And just have to add a motherboard standoff. Ooh, are those not, those ones not used? Let me check something. I gotta check and make sure those aren't touching the bottom of the, I don't think they are. I think they're, okay, yeah, nope, that's fine. Not a big deal then. Let's see. Throw that away. Yes, I did. Tear that off. I like to use what the RAM comes in, a little plastic tray to dump the screws in as I'm building. Makes it easier to access those. Okay, so what I need to do is just install an additional motherboard standoff. The screws, there's screws that hold down the motherboard to the case, and you need these standoffs in order to connect the motherboard to the case without the bottom of the motherboard touching the case. That's why they call them standoffs. They create a gap and a mounting point. And that's not threaded very well. I'm gonna need a socket here. I wonder where I have one of those. Didn't think about that. I know I have one somewhere. Shoot. Let me check my drawer. That's it. Yep, there we go. Alright, should be good now. I believe I mounted that in the... Oh, mounted in the wrong one. That's okay. There we go, should be good. We'll drop the motherboard back into place. There we go. Okay. So next, we just need to find the appropriate screws to use to install or to secure the motherboard. It should be these standard coarse thread, I believe. Let me look. I have an additional standoff here. Yep, they're coarse thread. Okay. So I need to push the motherboard into place to the rear of the case. I know you can't see this very well, but all I'm doing is screwing down the motherboard to the case. I'll put it back right side up once I'm done. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, this needs to be pushed over a little bit more. It's not lining up very well. Loosen up these two. Yeah, there we go. Should be able to drop this in there. Make sure Oh, that'd be why. Got a grounding clip that's going into the HDMI port. Okay, that's much better. Alright, that's good. Should just have 3 more after this one. Alright, there we go. Move the screws over here so I don't knock them over. And we got our motherboard installed. There you can see the ports line up with the I/O panel. No grounding clips jammed in any of the ports, it looks like, so that's a plus. I've had that happen a couple times where I almost finished the build and have to take it apart because grounding clip is jammed into one of the USBs. Not fun. Alright, next let's do the power supply. My only issue with this case is you have to take off the top to install the power supply. It's not a huge deal, it's just more screws. Let's go ahead and take that off. Alright, might need a... Oh, my screwdriver does fit these small ones too, that's good. Oops. All right. That out. Should just slide back just like that, and there we go. Top's off. Now we can install the power supply, and let's see, we should be able to run all our cables on the back side here. There's a nice little gap, a nice little hole I should say, and our power cables through that side, and power supply just kind of drops right in. Like that. We need to secure it with screws. Power supply does come with screws, so we'll use those. They don't really give you too many extra screws when you build a computer nowadays. Alright. So, just basically screw this into the case. Or secure it to the case, I should say. There. right there. Right there. Okay. And front panel cables we'll put over there. CPU power, they put a little hole down here at the bottom to run your CPU power. Really, really nice. The main 24-pin ATX connector can run through. We'll put it through this one here. Need to rotate it around though. Alright. So that's just going to connect. Let's drop this camera down so you can see that better. Perfect. Okay. So that just connects to the motherboard like so, clips in. Pull that back some. CPU power is down here. It only goes in one way. Just like that. We can pull back the slack through the hole. And now we got power. I don't know if I like those cables being so close to that fan. Alright, so we'll probably end up zip tying that like so, and zip tying this like so, or we'll get figured out once we get more cables ran. Connect the front panels since they're front panel connectors since they're kind of in the way. USB run right there. Just kind of pull it through right now. Front panel connectors are, yeah, they're at the top, so I'm probably going to want to run these up here actually. Just kind of pull those. And that connector is all the way at the back for the front audio. Yeah, so we'll run that in the same spot as those connectors. Those will probably be pulled back. Fan connectors, we'll get to those after we get everything else plugged in here. So I'll rotate this back around. We'll drop this even more. Right. Get a better view. Probably doing this at the worst time right now. 10 o'clock Thursday night. Who the heck's gonna be watching some dude build a computer? But this will be recorded and I can share it with all my 2 friends. Okay. So that should run nicely next to the 24-pin ATX power. This is a front audio connector. That's all the way towards the rear of the case. There's a little notch there at the end. You probably can't see that. Or a little plug, I should say. So it only goes in one way like most connectors. And make sure that goes in the right way. Alright, that should be connected. Bring the slack back. Front panel connector is going to be fun. It's a tight squeeze. Let me find the motherboard manual so I can get a better view of how these connect. Okay, so power LED. Okay, so the plus is on the back. This is what I'm looking at the manual here. It should focus. This tells you how to connect the little ends. You got power LED, HD LED. And then power switch, reset switch below that. Pretty standard. Plus, so, okay. So we just gotta look at our little connectors here. Yeah, that white cable's not so white anymore. Looks like it reacted to some UV light. Okay, so the color is positive and the white is negative. Power switch and reset switch don't matter. Basic switch can be flipped either way, but LEDs do matter. And yeah, it's not so bad to see. So we'll get the HD LED connected. Or it should be, actually it's going to be solid state drive light. They still label them HDD for hard disk drive. Power AD is a little more difficult because the connectors are separated. It's stuck together. There we go. Got that connected. Pull those back a bit. We don't need all this slack here. Okay. And then our reset switch should be just adjacent to the hard drive indicator, and power switch is below it. I don't know why I screwed that up at the beginning of this video. Almost thought I had a dead motherboard. That would have been something. First live video and dead motherboard. Okay, those connectors are connected. So we got our fronts, our power switch, reset switch, power LED, and solid state drive LED connected. USB microphone and line in are connected. USB is connected. Just need to connect our fans next. And so now we gotta find the fan headers on the motherboard. Okay, we got one fan header there. And that's not a fan header. Okay, and then our other one's way over here. Too bad we don't have two next to each other. That would have been nice. It's always nice to have them next to each other for easier cable management, but that's okay. So we'll go ahead and connect this one. Yeah, this one will just come up with the other cables. Keep it simple since it's right there. Get that connected. These are only 3-pin connectors, so they don't have any way to really... I believe the 4th pin's a temperature sensor, though I could be mistaken. Okay. And this one will kinda, should I come up from the bottom maybe? Maybe we can just come up from the bottom. And it doesn't reach very well. Show you what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get this cable connected back here. Just gonna have to come through the middle, I think. I don't have a lot of length. There we go. Get that connected. Yeah, it's not the neatest way to do that. Got that bright yellow going right down the middle. Not ideal. But then again, this isn't a windowed case, so it doesn't matter so much. If it was, I'd probably look at doing something different, using an extender. I'll have to do some cable management here, but essentially got everything connected. There's no disk drives going in here, so don't have to worry about that. We do have to power the solid state drives I'm putting in, so I'm going to grab one of those cables. Or serial ATA power cable for the power supply. I need to cut this bag open. There we go. Okay, so essentially that's all the additional cables. We don't really need much of them. Oh, I think this will reach. We got basic, this is basic two device solid state drive, serial ATA power cable. This end will plug into the power supply, these two ends will plug into the serial ATA solid state drives. Man, I'm tired. Okay. Plug that in. Yeah, that should reach fine, I'm thinking. So let's go ahead. I'm going to grab the bay here. We'll open these drives up. One solid state drive. And two. So yeah, this is basically what 2.5-inch solid state drives look like. They're very basic. What's nice is there's no moving parts like a traditional hard drive, so you don't have to worry about shock. And these can be pretty much mounted anywhere. A lot of people actually use double-sided tape if they need to mount them somewhere more discreet where they don't have proper mounting, and that's perfectly fine. It's not going to affect how these perform. And yeah, so essentially why they're called solid-state drives is there's no moving parts, and it's the type of flash memory or memory that's used. Here, let's figure out how we want these in here. Need to pull on this cable a bit. Oh, that's in the way. Okay, that should be lined up. So we don't have a ton of slack. Probably want to space the solid-state drives apart just because there's a big space right here with the power cable. Of course, the power cable is upside down for our needs, so it's actually going to have to loop around like this. Ew, I'm not a big fan of that. Think I might use the longer power cable so I can route that differently. End up doing that. So this one's much longer. It also has a lot more connectors. It's 4 serial ATA connectors instead of just the 2. The advantage this will have is I can actually route it around through the holes on the what I call the rear of the case where stuff's going to be hidden. So I'll do that instead. Plug it in again, and that way I can just hide it. It'll be more discreet that way. So let's go ahead. These just kind of slide in, toolless design, just like that, and it's locked in. And we'll put just a single space between them. That's basically all there is to install it in the bay, and now we just need to screw down the bay. I don't think we'll need to get in that area again. That's for the top. Here's the screws for the bay. Missing a screw. Huh. Okay. This again, just like that. These shorter ones go up here. Okay, yeah, here's the other one. Got all the way over there. And screw number 4 is just up there. Alright, there we go. The bay is installed. Let's run some power to that. And don't want to get them mixed up here. Okay. Yeah, that's much better. So run our power cable. Can we go under there? I thought it'd be neater if we go under there. I think that's okay. Might actually. Let's go ahead and just divide these up even further. Really doesn't matter. Just really looking to gain some more custom power cables. So that gap is kind of ridiculous. Push this one all the way at the bottom. Alright. Not my favorite way to do it, but it'll work. Yeah. There we go. Now we need to run our data cables to the solid-state drives. That's just right over here. Thankfully they include 2 of them. Alright. So this is a serial ATA data cable. It's how information gets from your solid-state drive through your motherboard. So you can actually, use your operating system that's on the drive, store your files and such. And I didn't look and see what serial ATA controllers are on this motherboard. It might be just one. but I'm going to set these up in RAID, so there's a little additional setup I need to do once I get this computer going. That's okay, shouldn't take too long. And we'll probably plug into those side ones there. So that's the top drive. I'll put in the top one. This bottom drive. Really doesn't matter what serial ATA ports you use on the motherboard. Some motherboards have 2 controllers for their ports. I didn't look and see what this has. Might just have the one. I'll find out if it doesn't work. But I don't see that being much of an issue. Alright, that's all done. I think I can put the top back on now. Basically, this is our computer. It's just a matter of doing some cable management, which honestly probably takes the most time. Or sometimes it requires some additional thought. Luckily, I've worked with these cases before, so it's not too bad. I have a good idea of what I'm going to do to zip tie the cables so they look neat. I don't want to cross thread that. There we go. I'd say that's the only disadvantage of this case is the top has to be unscrewed to access the power supply. It's not like you're going to do it very often, but just a little annoyance. All right. Take that around. Another small annoyance with this case is the rubber feet does leave little black marks if you drag the case around like I am. Again, not a huge deal. Kind of something to be aware of if you're going to be scooting it along. Push that up. Alright, there we go. Top is installed. Let's go ahead and just do a test run really quick. Make sure everything's kind of working for the most part anyways. Get our video cable, power cable connected, and keyboard, mouse. On. Alright, there we go. And we're on a cable right now. There we go. We got power. Got our power light, drive indicator, power switch is working, and computer's running. You can kind of see the fan spinning there. And then we have our BIOS screen up, so that's good. I'll have to configure RAID after a bit. Let's go ahead and power it down. So we're going to have to basically fix these cables. That's a bit ugly. Disconnect power here, other cables. Okay. So let's see what we're working with. These cables, they all kind of go back to the same area, the front of the case. Now, these ones really long. Our fan cable's not as long, so that's probably gonna have to go separate. I'm probably gonna do just put a little loop here, maybe. I might just maybe just loop these. USB 3.0 is a little difficult to loop. And just kind of tuck those up there so they're out of the way. Once the computer's built like this, you don't really need to access these cables as long as they're connected. be nice to get that 3.0 cable up there, even though it goes to a different spot. As long as there's not too much. Yeah, it doesn't want to loop very well though. Could just end up zip tying that like that, tucking that up. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be our best option with those. So, let's grab the zip tie here. Zoom in a bit. See what I'm talking about. Oh, terrific. There we go. Alright. This case has a lot of little areas where you can loop a zip tie, which is awesome. Alright, there isn't too much stress on the USB port by doing that, so I think that's what we're going to have to do. Snug that up and then snip the tail. Alright. Okay, so let's get these up there with that cable. Just probably loop them like that. And that should work. We got a little loop on the case we can run our zip tie through. Maybe. There we go. Then I'll probably zip tie the top to the USB 3.0 cable there. We're going over an hour now. Taking me a little bit longer. That's okay. Definitely be ready for bed once this is over. Alright. Go like, oh no. I missed that cable. Shoot. Let's go ahead and just snip that. Always good to have extra zip ties. Alright. Yeah, that should be good. Could probably zip tie somewhere. That should be fine. Probably even zip tie them right here, make it even neater. It's really important to have a good side cutter when you're zip tying these tiny cables, because then you can get really close and snip it so you don't have a jagged edge, but also in case you need to, jagged edge there. Also in case you need to undo a zip tie, you don't want to clip one of your cables. That would be really bad. Alright. There we go, it's looking a little bit neater. We got fan cables here. Not a fan of, no pun intended, how that's ran. So what I'm going to do is run it again. Just on the other side here. Should go low with that. Yeah, I might go, yeah, I'll go down here with it and come up. Make sure you see what I'm doing, make sure I see what I'm doing. Oh, actually I wanted to go around the other way. Whoops. Alright, yeah, that should zip tie nicely. I don't want to run our zip tie right through all those cables. Alright, should be good. Oh, we could do this one too, actually. I might just go ahead and additional zip ties. Just right here. Don't really care for how that's ran right there. That's okay. It's all good. Zip tie right there. Alright, that should be good. Snip this one. Flush. Good. Good. Alright. There we go. Scoot that over. Alright, so next we'll do our main power, which I think I'm just gonna zip tie like that, and I'll probably come up here like this, just so they're not loose. They're just hanging loose, it's kind of a pain if you take the side panel off. And zip tie through there. Alright. Just one. Just like that. Clip those off. Alright, there we go. Not too bad. Everything's kind of nice and tight. Rotate that around. Fortunately got that fan cable right there. Not a huge fan of that. Haha. The serial ATA cable could kind of tuck this way, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. There you go, just a nice simple build, nothing too complicated. Should work pretty well. Actually, I might run a zip tie right there to keep that CPU fan cable off the blades. It shouldn't be too bad of an issue, but might not be a bad idea. Alright, there we go. Let's go ahead and just put the side panels back on. Rear one. They should be that way. So I can see it better too. There we go. Put our thumb screws in. Zoom this out a bit. Put our other side panel on. Take this off. All right, there we go. Complete computer build. Next step would be to set up RAID. Like I said, I was going to set this into a mirror configuration, so two solid state drives will look like a single drive on the computer. Other than that, once I set up RAID, then I can install Windows 10. Takes about less than 10 minutes to install. I'll have to load the drivers for the hardware and then deliver it to the customer and finally set up their checkout program and move any files they need over, and should be done. Not too bad. Pretty simple build. Most of my builds are like this, where it's a business type computer, but they're still pretty fun. I enjoy doing it. Get a view at the rear of the case there. Yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, please just let me know. Thanks for watching.